Going to call this meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. This is February 19th, 2026. Would you please call the roll?
Aaron LeBlanc. Charity Campfield.
Here.
Dustin Brown. Michael O'Donnell.
Here.
Curtis Claybaugh. Linda Burt.
Here.
Chair, you do not have a quorum.
I thought we didn't have a quorum.
But we only have six.
We have, yeah, we only have 6, but I thought it was based off of 7.
I think it is. Oh, Aaron's on Zoom.
Oh, okay. So we do have a quorum, correct?
Are you there, Aaron?
Aaron, can you hear us? Giselle, can you admit them?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And do we now have a quorum?
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd entertain an approval of the minutes from January 15th, 2026.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 15th, 2026.
Are there any corrections?
I'll give you a second.
Oh, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the meeting minutes from January 15th be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. We have, it looks like one item, one request to be looked at today. Would you like to read that item into the minutes, please?
Item A, request PUDC-25-282, conditional use request to allow medical care / clinic and office within the MUR zone district located at 502 East 19th Street. And the agent is Megan Bade and the case planner is Morgan Dennis.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak for this application? In favor of this application? And would you raise your hand and thank you. Give us your name, please.
Megan Bade.
Megan, would you raise your hand and swear to tell the truth and only the truth in the matter under consideration tonight?
Yes.
Thank you. And your address is?
502 East 19th Street.
Go ahead.
So we're proposing to have a medical clinic in this house. We're getting it rezoned for the MUR district. It is a low profile medical care clinic, at most 10 patients a day, with an ancillary massage clinic up to 4 patients or clients a day. So within the hours of 8 to 4-ish, Monday through Friday. No weekends, no disturbance to the public. Parking's all good. We have the street parking and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Megan? Anyone from the board with any questions? Oh, thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak to this issue tonight? All right. Public comment is then closed. Any comments from the board on this issue? Anything from online?
No.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval of this request?
Question, Madam Chair. Did you want a staff report or not?
Thank you, sir. I'd like to have a staff report. If the staff would give their report, please.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, board members, Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is a conditional use to allow medical care, clinic, and office at 502 East 19th Street. The property is located at the intersection of Van Lennon Avenue and East 19th Street, legally described as Lot 5, Block 299, Original City. The lot has an existing structure on site. The property is surrounded by mixed-use residential zone district. The property is indicated as mixed-use residential within the future land use map, which supports a mix of residential and has an emphasis on commercial uses that support the neighborhood. Plan Cheyenne indicates mixed-use residential promotes mixed land use. Oh my gosh. I have the same sentence twice. Commercial uses that are complementary to the residential land use and should be located along arterial and collective streets. The proposed project plans to operate out of the existing structure, which is in character for the neighborhood. The medical clinic will operate by appointment only and during normal business hours, thus limiting the amount of trafficking happening around the site. The site is located at the intersection that currently supports commercial uses that are directly adjacent to the site. A medical care office and clinic would be appropriate use to add within the neighborhood as it supports neighborhood operations. The site is currently undergoing a site plan review process. Due to meeting all review criteria, staff recommends approval of the application.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? Thank you. I think we can now go to a motion for approval of this request.
Madam Chair, I move to approve a conditional use request for the use of medical care, clinic and office at 502 East 19th Street as presented by the applicant, as the application meets all review criteria outlined in UDC section 2.2.4.d.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I think we have a roll call vote, right?
Charity Campfield,
Yes.
Michael O'Donnell,
Aye.
Aaron LeBlanc,
Yes.
Linda Burt.
Yes.
Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. Other business.
You do not need to stay, but you're welcome to watch how the sausage is made.
Thanks. That was a good idea.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is the seventh time I've done this presentation for this board alone. You add up all the boards we have, this is probably like the 40th or 50th. No, even more than that. It's been a lot of presentations, and I promise I made this shorter because every time I do this, I realize it's a little bit longer than it should be. So this is basically a Board of Adjustment 101, and I'm really just going to cover your primary goals, which you primarily deal with, which is kind of shifting a little bit right now. Typically, you all hear variances, which is relief from this wonderful document, the Unified Development Code, and you also hear conditional uses, which is a decision-making power also defined in this document. The Unified Development Code is our Bible, our set of development regulations. It's existed since January 23rd of 2012 and had effective date of, actually it was March 1st of 2012. And what it does is it implements the plan. What's the plan? Is that plan, our comprehensive plan, which is known as Plan Cheyenne. That is an award-winning document, won a National Planning Award back in 2007. And since that time, it's been dissected and sliced and diced and placed into many other different plans, and it barely has a resemblance of what it was before. Right now, the current community character plan, which sets the standards for the UDC, was last adopted in 2014, and we're beginning the exercises of re-upping that plan right now. In fact, we just walked through the final RFP today, pretty darn close. So ready to get that on the street in about a week or two to start moving forward on that. So what do you all do? You are one of our more popular boards and commissions that we have, and you're very complimentary to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission, they're a body that only makes recommendations to the governing body. You all are unique in that you have some decision-making power, and you have the ability to grant relief. Pretty much the buck stops with you all on certain applications, and the next step would be an appeal to district court. The attorneys love that sometimes. So what is your decision-making authority? Variances and conditional use approvals. We just had a conditional use approval. A lot of you, we haven't had a variance in about 13 to 14 months, which means good things. It means our code is working, but it also means our fees could be a little bit too high. But even when our fees were first introduced back in 2020, we still had variance requests. So we just haven't had any recently. Oh. You also hear appeals, and these are all the items you hear appeals on, which you really don't see too many of these. Ones that have gained a lot of significance over time would be the demolition, moving of a contributing structure in a historic district. But also you may see some appeals based on administrative decisions and determinations. In the event that we have one of those, we're going to really work with you to provide you all education on what needs to be done and how you review those. The biggest thing with appeals is it's not just a person's second chance to get an approval. It's not like, well, the director said I couldn't do this. They said these are the reasons why it doesn't meet code. I'm asking for you to approve it. What you're looking at an appeal is finding that the decision maker, whether it be the Historic Preservation Board for a moving or demolition of a contributing structure, or myself, regards to a site plan or a policy interpretation, essentially made a clear error, or really just screwed up, for lack of a better term, in looking at the rules and regulations and making a decision. Hopefully I don't ever get to that point. If I do, I know I should be leaving. But we don't anticipate too many of these. And if we do have one of those, we will walk through that with you. And if Mr. Bolt wants to mention anything, you're more than welcome to. When I proved you, I have a shorter presentation. Yes. So I want to highlight the public hearing process. We have the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment both have public hearings, and they both have different processes with who presents first. The Planning Commission, did I do this backwards? I did this backwards. This is the order for the Planning Commission. Staff makes a presentation, and then the board, and then the applicant makes a presentation. This is backwards. For the Board of Adjustment, the first person to make the presentation is the applicant and then the staff. I'll correct that on future ones. Is this the right direction? Oh, it is correct? Is that how we did it? Oh, okay, sorry. Except for tonight, we did it backwards. Okay, thank you very much. I was looking at that and I was realizing how we did it today. And for a second, I'm like, this didn't seem right. So this is the correct order. I'll stand corrected in saying I wasn't correct. So first up is the staff, where they'll make the presentation. They'll go through their slideshow, their slide deck, and then you can ask questions for the staff if you want. But the next step would be applicant's presentation, where they will present their case. With them presenting their case, of course, they have to be sworn in because this is a quasi-judicial board. So they have to swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, and all of that. After both of those presentations are made, then the Board of Adjustment can ask questions directly to the applicant or staff, and we can provide answers. Then the next item would be to open up a public hearing for any public comment for those in the room or for those that might be attending online. When we do have public testimony, we do ask for those persons to identify themselves so we know who they are. And usually it's by name, and oftentimes by address. This public hearing is the official public hearing on these items under our development regulations. So if we don't have it, we're not in compliance with our development regulations. Once the hearing is closed, technically no more comments need to be taken or can be taken. The only time comments can be taken is if the public hearing is reopened. A lot of times as the Board of Adjustment or the decision-making board starts to have deliberation and discuss the items, you'll see the applicant jumping up or a member of the public jumping up, wanting to make comment. I really urge the chair to not reopen the public hearing, because once you do, you are going to have a lot of concern. It's just, you could lose control of the meeting pretty quickly. Next up would be a Board of Adjustment decision. Again, your decision is final and any appeal would go to district court. Staffing, expectations, roles, and responsibilities. Right now we have 4 development planners. I'm not counting this. And what you'll see is you'll see one person who's a primary planner on an individual case. Tonight, it was Morgan who was a primary planner on this case. You'll have a staff clerk. They're the ones who are doing the secretary's job of taking minutes. So, secretary, you're welcome. The board composition is pretty simple. In addition to the secretary, you have the chair and the vice chair. The chair presides over the meeting, and the secretary or the vice chair. Gosh, you can never find that. And the vice chair that basically serves as the backup and the alternate in case that person can't go. Now, something unique with the Board of Adjustment that I didn't mention in the slides here is that you have a 7-member board, and with your 7-member board, you are required to have an affirmative vote for any item of at least 4 members. So if you have 4 people present like tonight, all 4 had to vote yes for that item to pass. So if something passes or fails 3-1, it can automatically be placed on the next agenda with a written request from the applicant pursuant to our bylaws. I believe we recently had that happen within the last, we inadvertently had that happen within the last 12 months where we brought it back just for a technicality to have it reapproved after the fact, because it was a 3-1 and then we had it with a larger group present. Meetings, third Thursday, 6 p.m., regular meeting, staff is there. Some of our boards, we've said that we're not going to be at their meetings all the time because they may have wanted to have more than one a month, like some preservation boards, and we've set up subcommittees where they staff those on their own. So we don't have to attend those because we're busy in the evenings a lot. Our expectation of the board, run the meeting fairly. Don't lose control of the meeting. Sometimes you'll see a contentious meeting. Usually those revolve around concepts such as multifamily that you might see here. If you start to see people jumping up and down, cheering, dancing, whatever, just don't sit up there and say, yeah, I hear you, Joe. Don't be out there agreeing with them on that end. It just never looks good or professional. Same thing if you see Erin like just heckling and saying, yeah, that's awesome. First of all, she's not going to do that, I hope. But don't be like showing that you completely agree with staff as well. Try to entertain and just show a neutral type of tone out there. We ask that you respect staff and each other, be consistent with your decisions and how you treat people, be consistent with how you let people make public comment. If you do have a contentious item, you do have the ability to limit time for speakers. The council has used 3 minutes as a general rule of thumb. We'll provide a timer. 5 minutes is also something that is reasonable. Don't ever say something that I've heard in my career before, like where you do this. Should we just use the timer on that guy? No, that's not a good thing. You should use it on everyone. I did hear that next meeting, there's a resolution to send back the timer from that agency that I was employed with. Again, another important thing is base your decisions on findings of fact and review criteria. If you noticed, as I skimmed through the later staff report, we outlined all of the review criterion, and in your staff report, we will summarize all the review criteria and how it meets that, or how it meets it as conditioned. If you all disagree, or in the event of a variance, you wish to overturn or find that something does, because we may not always recommend approval, but you all may have the ability to approve it otherwise, and you can finagle the review criteria and condition it. You need to make sure you state that for the record as to how a specific application is meeting the review criteria. Variances are tough. They're the toughest things you see. We had one today we talked about in the office where somebody just wanted to put a carport in their front yard to the property line with 0 feet. And they said their justification was because they were a disabled veteran. I mean, you look at the circumstances and you say, yeah, that does seem to make sense, just because provides safe haven and covering for them to get there. But under our variance criteria, it really doesn't meet the criteria for a variance. Something we've done over time with our development code, which also has reduced the variance requests, is we have identified those hard to make decisions. And we figured out ways that we can make them easier to approve. So they've moved either to administrative approvals or conditional use approvals. Like we have an administrative relief process that's a little bit easier that we can do. So that's better. Carports, which is what this person wanted. That's been a topic of discussion with our annual review that we've had, where we're going to open that door up again, but it'll be lower on the totem pole because we have a lot of other things that are hanging out right in front of it. Staff report preparation. There's a reason we put what we do in our staff reports. There's a reason people put up signs to watch for monkeys in certain countries. They're there for a reason. That one, that's a good illustration. We have responsibility to make sure that we provide you with accurate information in our staff report. So we attempt to do so. Our staff's been doing a pretty good job of getting that information to you all. Again, why are review criteria important? Why do we spend so much time in our staff report doing that? Is because they really formalize the record. They identify how this application works for the community, and they differentiate it from other ones. Without the review criteria, it really would disintegrate the process, and it would really create problems with consistency throughout the development review process. One thing I would caution you, a lot of times you might have a personal interest. Say you are an anti-gambler, and we have historic horse racing that right now is, you are the deciding body on a lot of the historic horse racing facilities in the community. You've done this to Cheyenne. No, I'm just kidding. You all have done it. You've approved many conditional uses for historic horse racing in most zone districts other than the downtown. With that, if your personal values are you just don't like them, you have to be able to understand that you're really limited to sticking to the facts. The review criteria is not just a personal opinion. Same thing goes with items like multifamily offices and other areas. Does it meet the criteria? So these are the fun ones, the boring ones. Oh, I got water. So for those of you who have heard this before, I'm a little bit leaner now on this. So ex parte communications. This is basically, well, what happens if you meet up with board members outside of this meeting? A lot of times there's been people have taken this to a more strict interpretation and said, hey, if you have more than a quorum, 4 or more people present, you really shouldn't be seen together because there's the inherent look of you talking business. That's not really the case. Really what you want to make sure you do is you are not talking business when you're in a social environment or a special one. This is one that I like as a little comic out here. Do you think I should reveal these conversations we're having as ex parte communication? Nonsense. You're just spending the weekend here relaxing in my pool. We aren't talking shop. You know, these people, obviously, they're talking a little bit of shop. So if you try to avoid it, don't talk about items. A lot of times people in the community might say, hey, I hear you're going to be considering this apartment complex. I really don't like it. If it's something that you feel could be viewed as an ex parte communication, go ahead and note it during our opening disclosures section and say, hey, resident talked to me about this. This is what was discussed. It does not affect my vote. Just be transparent about what's happening. Conflict of interest. This is a good one. So say you have a conflicting interest. Like, for example, say board member O'Donnell's family member is coming in front of this board because they want to open up a historic horse racing track. Board member O'Donnell, O'Donnell, he is a 50% owner in that company as well. Should he be making a vote on that? No. What if he's doesn't have a monetary interest? Probably shouldn't as well, because there appears to be a conflict of interest because of their relationship. So we want to avoid that. I'm trying to emphasize with the boards that we represent and we clerk, that if there's a conflict of interest, we do ask that you move off the dais and you leave the room, and we'll come get you at the end. It's not working well. Sometimes we've had conflicts that have been done and they sit there and I'm like, trying to get them off and they don't leave. And I'm like, okay, because sometimes just your presence there is enough to continue to have that conflict there. It can give confidence to the other family member, those folks. Opens this meeting exact. This is a fun one. This is the same site I've used forever. So you've seen this one before. I don't think board member Burt or Campfield or LeBlanc have seen it. But anyway, it's Open Meetings Act. Basically, we want to avoid what's an open meeting where we're discussing business. This kind of goes back to that earlier slide I talked about ex parte communications. You also want to make sure you're not talking amongst a board with just or amongst the board about anything that could be a public item. This comic is very comical. It says, all those in favor of what we discussed in our email thread and at Larry's son's birthday party say aye. We have aye. I have no idea what's going on. I thought this was an open meeting. So avoid discussing items outside of this public forum. Again, if somehow you are given information or something happens, you need to disclose it. You're always welcome to reach out to myself, Aaron, or the city attorney for guidance on what may have happened for advice. This also applies to more than just hanging out at Larry's son's birthday party. Is everyone responding to the Facebook invite? If everyone starts having a discussion about the apartments behind Larry's house, that's an open meeting that's occurring. Same thing with text messages and stuff like that. We can put together subcommittees that are less than a quorum, where you all are able to talk about specific items. And then those subcommittees, we'd expect them to be able to report back to the board as a whole. So that's kind of a way around Open Meetings Act when you have an established subcommittee for a specific purpose. So again, I highlighted your decision making authority, just walking through these two real quick. The variance, these are typically for bulk and area variances, like there's changes in setbacks, changes in building heights, landscaping requirements. Use variances, that's when you're saying like, oh, well, the zoning code says I can't have a coffee shop here, I can only have a bank. You can't get a variance to allow a coffee shop. That's a land use. That's been proven in court that is not allowed. It's truly related to dimensional standards, something with a number, a quantitative item, not a qualitative item. PUDs are not eligible for a variance unless the process is allowed in that plan unit development. A PUD essentially is a giant variance. It's a giant variance that balances different development standards with different public benefits. So once you're locked into a PUD, you're locked in that PUD. Why do people ask for variances? No economic use or reasonable use of the property. The regulations only allow a small economic use. Sometimes the family business has grown. A lot of people ask for variances after the fact because they may have unknowingly or knowingly built something incorrectly. You'll see a lot, it's financial reasons because they just don't want to spend the money. And again, these aren't reasons to approve. These are why people might ask. Others might feel things are impractical regulations, or the most common one we used to see back in the day when our fees were only $75 was, I just don't like the rules. Again, we have the criteria that will be clear. $625. Now, in coming up with those fees, and we're actually considering lowering those because we've become a lot more efficient with some of our processes. When we put that together in 2020, it's based off of the intake time, the software we use, paying a fee of for the software we use to host our digital review processes, our staff time of about like 6 to 7 staff members that review that application, our legal ad, which is one of the highest dollar amounts there, and we calculate the legal ad on what would it be if it stood alone, and we add it up. I feel that our variances have become a lot less technical because we've really reduced the hard ones that we can look at analyzing that. Plus, we're required to. This fall, we're kicking off the review of our application fees in accordance with our resolution that adopted our last fees, which says we have to revisit it every 5 years. The person we did talk to today was not a huge fan of the application fee. Conditional uses, what are these? This is what we just had. These allow for flexibility in the zone district. Generally, a use table will say you can do a bank here, but you can do a car wash if it's approved after having a public hearing and you've demonstrated it's not going to have a problem with the neighborhood. So that's what a conditional use is. It provides flexibility where you can really look at the character of the neighborhood and identify, does this work? You know, it could be something like a dormitory. Sorry. I just had to bring that one up, which you all may see another dormitory in the near future, I believe. Oh yes, it's a true dormitory structure, but how it got there is a whole different story. So all the attorneys got law credits, I believe, for attending. So basically, you're looking at their case-by-case reviews. We have a longer criteria of review criteria, longer list, and you're really looking at the design. Generally, we look at these in 2 different ways. Number one, typically we look at the use. We're like, okay, they want to do a car sales lot here. Should they just meet the code, which is setbacks, or do they need something enhanced? So if there's something that's enhanced, then they will either propose it and it'll become a condition of approval, or it could be something that you all would propose. With conditional uses, in the name, they're called conditional. You all are able to add conditions to any approval. So for example, if you all are hearing a lot of testimony about an apartment complex where they say the neighbor's headlights are going to shine on my property all day long, and I'm just going to see the back of the building here. You can say a reasonable condition could be, well, let's require a site obscuring fence and maybe a hedge or a row of bushes to keep the light trespass off the site. That's what we're looking at. Unreasonable conditions are ones we try to avoid. Those could be ones like, oh, you can only go 1 story in height. You know, that could be something that's unrealistic. Also with other uses, you can limit hours of operation. You can ask for reduced signage. like non-illuminated signage, smaller areas, those types of items. The sky's the limit, but we really ask that you recognize that has to be a rational nexus and proportionality, like rough proportionality with your decision. That basically means, is it related to the proposal? And is it proportional for what they're doing? So you can't ask somebody to, do a really expensive offsite improvement for an office in an existing house. Pretty much the basis of one of the landmark cases of urban planning. That's it. That's a lot quicker than before. Look at that. So any questions you may have, that's Pat the Planning Panda. He came to us by mistake when we published our website as Panda instead of P and D for planning and development. Our little URL, that'll get you to our website, Panda. It works really well for people to remember it. No, we didn't.
Thank you very much for that presentation.
You're welcome.
Is there any other business to come before the board tonight? Are there any staff announcements?
The only staff announcements I have, I think Aaron has something, is we did our annual review with the Planning Commission on Tuesday evening. They asked us to prioritize urban farm regulations and definitions in the Unified Development Code. Do you recall what else it was? Oh shoot, it was that. Yeah, there's that.
Is that going to come to us?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
It won't. There's some other development code items. It wants to look at carports. They're waiting for us to bring forward landscaping amendments. Specifically trees. And I think that was about it. I'd have to double check. Honestly, my brain's been a fog this week. Things we are going to be bringing forward is we're amending our special use approval process. Right now, we only allow oil and gas exploration facilities to be eligible for special use approvals. Those are when they're drilling in the ground looking for gas and oil, and you see the big sound walls up. That's the only thing that we have right now. The regulations are written in a way that they don't really match the Unified Development Code. So we're going to shore those up to make them a better process for the governing body. And then we are going to be changing historic horse racing facilities from Board of Adjustment approval to governing body approval. So, and as part of this, we're looking at establishing overlay districts where they would just be uses by right in certain targeted areas of town. And then if they're not in those areas, they would have to go through the governing body to have to be permitted for operation. This is a little bit more like a goal for local control of those land uses. So that'll affect you all. Oh, yeah, one that we're supposed to be looking at, yes, but also affect you all, is allowing multifamily by right up to 4 units per lot in pretty much all residential areas, provided they meet parking standards. And we will probably also put in other development criteria that would dictate where that parking would go. So it would probably be behind the front facade, those types of items. So there's a lot of moving parts there. Would you like to be involved in any of those discussions, since you have been the primary recipient of the public comment on multifamily as it goes through the process? Because we'd be happy to take that to you. Okay, that'd be fun. Awesome. Okay.
Sorry, I think that would be interesting for all of us.
Thank you, Chair. We'll keep that in mind as we roll through. So, and this is coming, a little bit's coming out of the Affordable Housing Task Force. Aaron?
We don't have a meeting next month.
And is that all? Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. So I will adjourn this meeting, and the next meeting will be Thursday, April 16th. Thank you all.
Thanks, sir.